me ask you something. Have you ever sat in a strategy session where everyone nods enthusiastically about culture, well-being, and human-first leadership, and then the moment pressure hits, everything quietly reverts back to urgency, hierarchy, and short-term decisions? It's not hypocrisy, it's integration failure. Because knowing what good leadership looks like is not the same as knowing how to practice it under pressure. In this episode, we're moving from philosophy to behaviour, unpacking the head, heart and hands framework and where human-first leadership actually becomes real inside organisations. If you're ready to move beyond good intentions and into leadership that actually shows up under pressure, this one matters. Welcome to Hard at Work with me, Trina Sunday. This space is for HR leaders who care deeply about performance and equally deeply about people. For more than 25 years, I've been asking one persistent question. What are the real conditions for happiness at work? Because when humans come first, something deeper shifts. How people show up, how leaders decide, and how work feels. Here, we explore what it really takes to lead with courage, compassion, and clarity, and we pull up a chair to the conversations HR leaders don't always get to have. There's heart here, but there's also depth. If you're ready to build workplaces where people and performance thrive side by side, you're in the right place. Let's get to the heart of it. There comes a point in every leadership transformation where inspiration stops being enough. It's the moment organisations move from talking about human-first leadership to trying to live it. If you're an HR leader, you know exactly where that moment sits. It lives where strategy meets behaviour, where values meet pressure, where leadership intention meets everyday reality. This is where leadership stops being theoretical and starts being visible. Across the organisations I've partnered with, from leading in-house HR teams across Australia and Asia to advising exec leaders globally, I've observed a really consistent pattern. Most leaders want to lead well. They understand what good leadership looks like, in theory. The challenge is not belief. The challenge is consistency, especially when complexity, urgency, or competing priorities take over. It's not necessarily a character flaw. It is, however, a capability gap. And it's one of the most important leadership challenges that HR is uniquely positioned to help solve. Because organisational culture is not defined by what leaders say they value. It's defined by what leaders repeatedly do. You can see culture in how decisions are made. You can see it in how difficult conversations are handled. You can see it in what gets prioritised when pressure increases. That's why, alongside the heart work philosophy, I've developed the head, heart and hands framework. Because transformation does not happen when leaders agree with an idea. Nodding your heads around the table, that's not where the transformation happens. Transformation happens when leaders know how to lead it. And during my years leading HR internally, I often sat in rooms filled with leaders who genuinely cared about their people. They spoke passionately about culture, engagement, well-being. They truly believed in creating environments where employees could thrive. Then pressure would come. Financial performance, operational urgency, stakeholder expectations, or reputational risk would intensify. And the behaviour, it would shift. The conversations would shorten, decisions would become more directive, people considerations would quietly move down the priority list. Not deliberately, but instinctively. And not because leaders lacked care, it's because they lacked integration. I sat in countless executive discussions where people strategy was acknowledged as critical to business success, yet within minutes the conversation would pivot back to operational urgency without fully exploring the human consequences of those decisions. And over time, I realised this was not resistance to human-first leadership. It was leaders trying to hold strategy, humanity and execution simultaneously without a clear framework to help them do that well. And that insight became the foundation of head, heart and hands. One of the most powerful reminders of this came through my work in Cambodia. While supporting leadership development initiatives and mentoring professionals in Phnom Penh, I observed workplaces operating with fewer resources, fewer formal leadership pathways, and a country still rebuilding professional capability after profound historical disruption. Yet what consistently stood out was the leadership presence. Leaders prioritised understanding their teams. Conversations were relational before they were transactional, and decisions were often slower, but deeply considered in terms of community impact. It wasn't perfect leadership, no system ever is, but it reinforced something I've seen across multiple cultures now. Human-first leadership is not a luxury of mature economies. It's a universal leadership necessity. Technical capability without human integration never sustains performance for long. Many organisations invest significant energy defining cultural aspirations, leadership frameworks, organisational values, and the intention is almost always genuine. But values do not transform organisations. Behaviours do. And I've worked with organisations able to articulate extraordinary cultural visions, yet employees still experienced inconsistent leadership, low psychological safety, and decision-making that contradicted those shared values. And it's not because leaders rejected the vision. It's because they did not yet have the capability to consistently live it. Leadership credibility is built in the moments when pressure tests values. And sustainable transformation requires an integration across 3 really critical leadership dimensions. And the Head, Heart and Hands framework helps leaders to translate that into daily behaviour. It supports us as HR leaders in guiding organisations toward performance that is commercially credible, that's emotionally intelligent, and practically achievable. We want it to be achievable. We don't like setting people up to fail. So let's look at the head. It represents strategic thinking, commercial awareness, and evidence-based decision-making. Strong head leadership aligns people's strategy with business direction. It's enabling leaders to interpret complexity, use workforce insight meaningfully, and design systems that support sustainable performance. And without the head thinking, leadership becomes reactive or directionless. But having the head alone can create organisations that are strategically sound yet emotionally disconnected. And that's when the heart comes in. That's representing the empathy, psychological safety, trust, and courageous leadership presence. Heart leadership creates environments where people are seen and supported and really safe to contribute fully. It allows leaders to hold difficult conversations honestly while preserving dignity and trust. Compassion is not softness in leadership. It is precision about what people need to succeed. So without heart, performance might be achieved, but it's rarely sustained. And that leads us to hands. The hands represent the translation of leadership intention into observable action. It's behaviour, capability, the execution that we can see. It's where strategy becomes lived experience, where leaders model behaviour, embed change, and build capability across their teams. And without hands, transformation remains simply aspirational. And us in HR, well, we occupy one of the most influential positions inside organisations, whether that's formally recognised or not. You sit at the intersection between leadership intention and employee experience. You see where organisational values succeed and where they quietly fracture. HR has the power and the responsibility to transform workplaces into environments where people and performance thrive, side by side. This is not operational work. This is change maker work. And I really believe that HR is standing in a defining moment. Our profession is being called to move beyond compliance and operational delivery and into courageous leadership influence. That shift requires tools, confidence, capability, and community. And that's where my heart work comes in. This is the work of head, heart, and hands, and it's the work HR leaders are uniquely positioned to lead. And here's the part we don't talk about enough. Most HR leaders don't struggle with belief. They care deeply about people. You want work to be better. What you haven't always been given is the space to build the capability and the community to lead that belief under pressure. And that's the shift. Head, heart, and hands isn't about being softer. It's about being stronger, clearer, more confident when tension arises. And that's why I've created the 10-week Game Changer HR Leader Program that's kicking off the week beginning 20 April. It's virtual, practical, and it's designed to help you move from understanding the philosophy to actually leading it. Because when HR integrates clarity, courage, and compassion, we don't just influence meetings. We change how people experience work. And if you're ready to lead that way, not just talk about it, you'll find the details at trinasunday.com. The future of HR won't be built by intention. It will be built by leaders who integrate. Thanks for spending time with me. If this conversation challenged you, clarified something, or simply reminded you that you're not the only one holding the tension between people and performance, then it's done exactly what it was meant to. This work isn't easy, but it is necessary. HR has a new future, and it leads with heart. So if you found value here, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Share this episode with someone who also believes that work can be better. And if you want to go deeper, you can explore the Heartwork model, the programs, and the growing community of HR leaders at trinasunday.com. Because when HR leads with clarity, courage, and compassion, it doesn't just change workplaces, it changes lives. Until next time, keep asking better questions, keep backing your voice, and keep putting humanity at the center of performance. Let's keep heart at work.